Um, that's a good question. You think so? Oh, I was waiting for the. Okay. Yep. Good morning. My name is Martha Gopal, and I'm your lay leader today for the service of the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Lower Bucks. Why do we ring the bell to start our service? One of my favorite parts, actually, is when that tone just continues. It reminds us that this is a special spiritual hour, which we are called to focus our attention on the messages and the music selected to guide and inspire us. As a small liberal fellowship of the spiritually curious, our services are designed to stimulate, excuse me, your thought process regarding your own spiritual journey. We're not here to provide the answers. Rather, we join together to form a welcoming community that hopefully helps you find your own personal truth. To that end, we focus on a set of values that are centered on love. If you are new to UUFLB, we are glad you chose to be with us. It is our pleasure to welcome you here. Our Soul Matters theme in January is practicing resistance. And when I saw this, I thought about so many ways to define resistance, but there are many ways. We all have a part to play in resistance, in ensuring the just treatment and inherent dignity of all people, and in leaving the world a little bit better than we found it. Reverend Cameron Trimble says, "It's easy to become paralyzed by the scale of the world's need, but we don't have to fix everything to be faithful. We are each called to offer what we can, to take our drop of water and carry it toward the fire." Difficult times ask us to come together as a part of what Unitarian Universalist minister Rebecca Parker calls a community of resistance, in which people learn ways to survive and thrive that can resist and sometimes even transform an unjust, even dominant culture. As Edward Everett Hale said, "I am the only one, but still I am one. I cannot do everything, but still I can do something. And because I cannot do everything, I will not refuse to do the something that I can do." I'd like to invite Jeff to light the chalice while I read our opening words. Welcome all who are restless for a world renewed. We come carried by ancestors who refused the silence of despair and dared to sing a new song. Their courage whispers through us still. Today we resist by showing up together. We resist by keeping faith with what is not yet. Our gathering is in itself an act of sacred dissent, calling us to rise and unite as co-creators of a freer tomorrow. Thanks, Jeff. I'd like to welcome Gil Christenberry with the message for all ages. Gil looks a little surprised, but I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. These must be out of order. Sorry. Today, Avi Wisnia could not be with us in person, but what's wonderful about him is that he's always with us in spirit. And by that, we mean on video. So, yeah, so let's begin our service.
Hello, good morning, and Happy New Year to all of us. Whether you are in the room all together or on this Zoom, like I am, wishing you a Happy New Year and so glad we can make music together again, wherever we are in the world. And speaking of the world, we're going to start today with one of my favorite songs from Pete Seeger, imagining what a wonderful world it can be. And as we look ahead to the new year, let this song guide us, especially as we start our service today. Pete Seeger's "It Could Be a Wonderful World." If we could consider each other a neighbor, a friend, or a brother, It could be a wonderful, wonderful world. It could be a wonderful world. Oh, oh, it could be a wonderful world. If each little kid could have fresh food each day, if all working folk had enough time to play, if each homeless soul had a good place to stay, it could be a wonderful world. Oh, oh, it could be a wonderful world. If we could consider each other a neighbor, a friend, or a brother, it could be a wonderful, wonderful world. It could be a wonderful world. Oh, oh, it could be a wonderful world. If there were no poor and the rich were content, if strangers were welcome wherever they went, if each of us knew what true brotherhood meant, it could be a wonderful world. Oh, oh, it could be a wonderful world. If we could consider each other a neighbor, a friend, or a brother, it could be a wonderful, wonderful world. It could be a wonderful world. Oh, oh, it could be a wonderful world. If you didn't try singing yet, how about this last time through? Everyone. If we could consider each other a neighbor, a friend, or a brother, it could be a wonderful, wonderful world. It could be a wonderful world. Oh, oh, it could be a wonderful world. Oh, oh, it could be a wonderful world.
Always great. Always great. Today's speaker is Mark Bernstein. We welcome Mark, who is a faithful member of the Unitarian Universalist Church of Delaware County in Media, PA, although he considers UUFLB to be his second spiritual home, and we're glad he does. As a former staff member with the Central East region of the UUA and now as adjunct staff, he offers his experience, guidance, and words of inspiration to UU congregations both locally and across the country. Mark's sermon title is Faithful Dissent, with this description. Throughout the history of Unitarian Universalism, it has been dissent, not resistance, that has moved our faith tradition forward. This practice of dissent continues today to be paramount if we are to overcome our differences with each other and with a demanding and troubling world. Now I'd like to welcome Gil Christenberry with a message for all ages.
Good morning. Sometimes it just feels easier to go along with the crowd, even when we know that something just isn't quite right. Maybe we laugh at a joke that we think isn't kind, or we pretend to like something just because everybody else does. This month, we are exploring how we can resist the pressure that pulls us away from being our best selves. Today, we are focusing on resisting the pressure to fit in. So with that in mind, I want to tell you an old story from the country of Denmark that shows what can happen when people care more about fitting in than about telling the truth, and how one brave voice can help everybody else see clearly again. Many years ago, there was an emperor so exceedingly fond of new clothes that he spent all his money on being well dressed. He had a coat for every single hour of the day. And instead of saying, as one might about any other ruler, "The king is in council," Here, they always said, the emperor is in his dressing room. One day, two swindlers arrived in the city. They claimed to be expert weavers who could make the most extraordinary cloth ever seen, so beautiful that it was invisible to anyone foolish or unworthy of their job. The emperor, eager to prove his greatness, hired them right away. The weavers asked for gold, silk, and silver thread and began to weave. In truth, they had nothing on their looms, but everybody who came to see the work pretended to admire it. After all, who wanted to look foolish or unfit for their position? When the emperor himself came to see his new clothes, he too saw nothing, but he didn't dare admit it. Magnificent, he said, fit for a parade. So the emperor dressed in his invisible clothes and proudly walked through the streets. Everybody in the streets and in the windows said, "Oh, how fine are the emperor's new clothes! Don't they fit him to perfection? And see his long train." Nobody would confess that they couldn't see anything, for that would prove them either unfit for their position or a fool. No costume the emperor had worn before was ever such a complete success. The people cheered and clapped, each one afraid to say what they really saw, until a small child's clear voice rang out, "But he isn't wearing anything at all." The crowd fell silent. And then they began to whisper and laugh, for the child had spoken the truth that they were all afraid to say. The emperor shivered, for he suspected they were right. But he thought, this procession must go on. And so he walked more proudly than ever as his noblemen held high the train that wasn't there at all. The end. Yes, thank you. Save it for the end. What I love about this story is how it helps us think about how easy it can be to stay silent when we're afraid of standing out, and how powerful it is to be brave enough to speak the truth rather than go along with everybody else. Everyone around the emperor gave in to the pressure to fit in, to agree, to go along, to pretend. Only the child was brave enough to trust their own eyes and say what was real. Thank you. Full of faux pas today. Please join Avi as he sings the children out to their religious exploration classes.
Please join me in singing Go Now in Peace. Go now in peace, go now in peace. May the love of us surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go.
As we enter the central portion of our spiritual hour, I would like to welcome our guest speaker, Mark Bernstein. He'll begin with a reading, then we'll have a musical interlude before hearing his sermon message titled Faithful Dissent.
Thank you, Martha. Good morning. Happy New Year. The morning reading are the words of Reverend Dr. Sophia Betancourt, who is the current president of the Unitarian Universalist Association. She writes, "Faithful dissent is our theological inheritance. Today's Unitarian Universalism emerges from a heritage of dissenting churches that is hundreds of years old, a tradition of faithful people who grounded their religious living in how best to be of service to one another. Communal care calls us to become good ancestors, to provide a foundation of love and justice that will sustain those who are yet to come. And so we must continue our theological tradition of dissent to protect the most vulnerable, and in our continued commitment to community building, even amid the anxiety-inducing chaos intentionally created to rob us of our hope and demoralize us with fear." The words of Sophia Betancourt.
One of our best contemporary singer-songwriters and piano-playing artists today is Sarah Bareilles. And she reminds us that resistance to forces both personal and political require us to be brave. You can be amazing, you can turn a phrase into a weapon or a drug. You can be the outcast or be the backlash of somebody's lack of love. You can start speaking up, nothing's gonna hurt you the way that words do when they settle neath your skin. Kept on the inside with no sunlight, sometimes a shadow wins. But I wonder what would happen if you say what you wanna say and let the words fall out. Honestly, I wanna see you be brave with what you wanna say and let the words fall out. Honestly, I wanna see you be brave. I wanna see you. I wanna see you. I wanna see you. I wanna see you be brave. Everybody's been there. Everybody's been stared down by the enemy. Falling for the fear and then some disappearing. Bow down to the mighty. Don't run, stop holding your tongue. Maybe there's a way out of the cage where you live. Maybe one of these days you can let the light in. Yes. Show me how big your brave is if you say what you wanna say and let the words fall out. Honestly, I wanna see you be brave with what you wanna say and let the words fall out. Honestly, I wanna see you be brave. I wanna see you. I wanna see you. I wanna see you. I wanna see you be brave with what you wanna say and let the words fall out. Honestly, I wanna see you be brave.
So I thought I'd ring in the new year with a bit of Unitarian Universalist history. Karen, don't leave. Maybe a little more than a bit, but you'll see where I'm going, so stay with me. Ralph Waldo Emerson, one of the most recognized figures in the history of Unitarian Universalism, was born in Boston on May 25th, 1803. His life was marked by several periods of grief. 2 weeks before his 8th birthday, His father, who was a Unitarian minister, died from stomach cancer, leaving his family in poverty. Within a period of 2 years, when he was in his 30s, 2 of his brothers died of tuberculosis. He married his first wife, Ellen Louisa Tucker, in 1829, and less than 2 years later, she too died of tuberculosis at the age of 20. Emerson was ordained as a Unitarian minister in 1829 at the age of 26. But in 1832, only 3 years after becoming ordained, he gave up Unitarianism and he quit the ministry. It was said that the burden of preaching about hope on Sunday and drowning in grief and despair on Monday eventually took its toll. But Emerson left the ministry also because he became disenchanted with traditional religious practices. Ministry did not provide the spiritual and intellectual growth that he craved. He felt inauthentic in praying when he did not feel inspired. In 1838, he was invited to give the commencement address to Divinity School graduates at Harvard. In that speech, he proclaimed that Unitarianism was boring, that it was decaying and dying, that it was, quote, corpse cold. You can imagine the reaction from the students in that hall. In fact, the outrage was so strong that Emerson wasn't invited back to Harvard for the next 30 years. Critics called his speech the latest form of infidelity and utterly distasteful. But on that day, Emerson preached that one should not rely solely on what is handed to us in Scripture or tradition, but that we use our own life experience, that we trust our intuition, for we, he said, are a source of wisdom. This was the essence of transcendentalism, that divinity can be found in all living things, in nature and in people. It was revolutionary, and it changed the way many Unitarians looked at the world and their religion. In emphasizing spiritual self-reliance and individualism, it initiated a movement for social justice, women's rights, environmental protection, for social reform, abolition of slavery, and equality for all. Causes that have defined our Unitarian Universalist movement. And today, the concept of transcendentalism is recognized as one of the 6 sources of our faith. In 1947, Reverend Kenneth Patton, not the general, no relation, a Universalist minister, established the Charles Street Meeting House in Boston. Reverend Patton's mission was to find, quote, a religious setting for a religion of one humanity and one world. The meeting house was designed in such a way as to represent the idea of universal religion, universalism. Imagine this. There were symbols of the universe at one end. I wish I had a picture to show you. Earth and humanity in the center, and depictions of the atom at the opposite end. This was in the meeting house. There was a large map of the earth inlaid in linoleum in the very center of the auditorium. People sat in a circle with the map before them, quote, symbolizing unity and one world in their very arrangement. If that's not enough, a collection of music from world cultures was also assembled, and with a state-of-the-art sound system at the time, used as a background to readings from various cultures. That must have been quite a service. The very existence of this unique and admittedly radical community helped to shape Unitarian Universalism today. The intent was to recognize Universalism as a religion for one world, as a religion that honors its Christian origins, but welcomes the truths of other religions on an equal plane. It both transcended and included Christianity and expanded the sources of our faith. It contributed mightily to our notion today of Unitarian Universalism as a faith for all. One more story. Prior to the mid-19th century, Unitarianism was confined almost exclusively to the northeastern part of the United States. But as the country moved west, so did Unitarianism. The problem, though, was that many ministers in the Northeast were reluctant to go west, whether out of a sense of fear or risk or elitism. So finding new ministers to fill the new pulpits was a challenge. This opened up opportunities for women ministers who were growing in number at this time. In 1875, 21 Unitarian women, led by Reverend Mary Safford, founded the Iowa Sisterhood to serve the states of Iowa, Nebraska, Colorado, South Dakota, Michigan, Wisconsin, and Illinois. The non-academic pastoral approach that these women brought to their churches began to transform the nature of Unitarian congregations. They sought to make their churches extensions of the home, thereby expanding the traditional role of women beyond the home and into the church. The sisterhood brought family matters into the church, not only on Sundays, but 7 days a week, with social events and classes on domestic arts. Mary Safford herself promoted the idea that the human soul would evolve not in solitude, but through community. That is, she said, what church is for. The efforts of the Iowa Sisterhood helped to promote the idea of family, community, and social events as important components of our religion, practices that define our congregations today. Ralph Waldo Emerson, Kenneth Patton, and Mary Safford helped to shape the practices of Unitarian Universalism that we hold dear today. Their ideas flew in the face of conventional wisdom at the time and so carried considerable risk. And they accomplished this not through resistance to the status quo, but through faithful dissent. Resistance is defined as the refusal to accept or comply with something, the attempt to prevent something by action or argument. Dissent, on the other hand, is the expression or holding of opinions at variance with those previously, commonly, or officially held. Resistance implies staunch opposition. Dissent implies differing opinions and disagreement. Resistance impugns the stance of others. Dissent acknowledges the stance of others and offers alternative ideas. Resistance impedes progress. Dissent fosters progress. Resistance breaks down community. Dissent builds and strengthens community. Philosopher John Rawls believed that dissent is essential for a just society. He contended that justice is the first virtue of social institutions, and dissent is crucial for ensuring that these institutions remain just. He argued that citizens have not only a right, but also a duty to dissent when they see injustice. This helps to correct errors, promote fairness, and ensure that the government remains accountable to the people. And another philosopher, John Stuart Mill, also emphasized the importance of dissent. In his famous work on liberty, he argued that freedom of speech, including the right to dissent, is essential for the discovery of truth. He believed that allowing dissenting opinions to be heard, even if they are unpopular or controversial, helps to challenge existing beliefs and promotes intellectual growth and societal progress. It is my contention that it is dissent, not resistance, that characterizes our evolution as a faith tradition, and that it should be dissent, not resistance, that guides our efforts today in this troubled and dangerous world. As is my wont, I tend to go against the grain, right, Sherry? In his book, Community, The Structure of Belonging, Peter Block writes of the importance of dissent as critical in creating an accountable and hospitable community. Inviting dissent into the conversation, says Block, is how we show respect for a wide range of beliefs. And he says creating space for dissent is the way diversity gets valued in the world. This is consistent with the, quote, new UUA shared value of pluralism, for those who are familiar with that, which acknowledges that we are all sacred beings, diverse in culture, experience, and theology, and that we embrace our differences and commonalities with love, curiosity, and respect. The act of resistance diminishes, even rejects, a sense of community. In resisting, there is no attempt to embrace or even to understand our differences. The act of dissent, however, requires that one meet resistance with curiosity, that we move closer to those with whom we disagree in an attempt to better understand them. In so doing, dissent offers the hope of community even in the face of diametrically opposed opinions. If we are to dig ourselves out of the hole that Donald Trump and his administration have created, if we hope to forge a nation characterized more by cooperation than by conflict, it can only occur through the act of dissent, not resistance, as a way of being. Now, if truth be told, I like to resist as much as the next protester. I even ended a Facebook post one time with the words, resist, 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 in capital letters and with exclamation points, so that in fact you know that I meant it. Resisting gives us a sense of power, of control over a world that right now seems out of control. But the problem with resistance is that it is almost always met with resistance. I push against you and you push back. So I push even harder and you respond in kind. It drains our energy. It tears apart the concept of community and shared values. It causes us eventually to care less, to turn away, perhaps to give up. One of my colleagues at the food pantry, where I volunteer in Chester, voted for Donald Trump and at least initially openly celebrated his victory. It caused a great and severe tear in our relationship. And our communication for months consisted pretty much of good morning. 2 weeks ago, she came over to me to say goodbye because the pantry would be closed over the holidays. She hugged me and wished me a Merry Christmas. I could not help but hug her back. In that moment, I saw her as someone with the same hopes and fears as I, someone with compassion and goodwill toward others, someone who really did care about much of the same things that I cared about. And my thoughts of resistance toward her melted away. We had dissenting opinions, of course, but we were still very much connected. Faithful dissent, as Reverend Sophia Betancourt tells us in the opening reading, reminds us to hold on to that most essential of Unitarian Universalist values, a sense of community. Communal care, as she describes it, enables us to maintain that foundation of love and justice that will sustain those who are yet to come. This time of terror and despair that we are currently experiencing will come to an end, and we will all move on. In its wake, the kind of world that will remain depends on how well we have shared our opinions and objections while remaining true to our values, how strongly we have held on to a sense of community and continued care for one another, how committed we were to maintaining some sense of connection with those with whom we stood apart. By dissenting rather than resisting, we stand a better chance of making that happen. That's how I feel. I welcome, of course, all dissenting opinions.
Thank you, Mark. Our January and February shared plate recipient is the Reach Out Foundation. They provide a safe and supporting environment for folks with mental illness or addiction disorder and or homelessness. They're now a drop-off place for Code Blue participants as well. This program provides homeless people a place to be during the day, Monday through Friday. Thank you for, please give with love, and thank you for your generosity. Thank you for your generosity. Now's the time in our service when we recognize and lift up one another in love. Please come up to this microphone and share your joy or sorrow.
Hello, I'm Jeff. Last Monday, I had a sorrow. My son's good friend had been staying with us for 5 or 6 months, but things came to a boil, and I just had to have him find another place to stay. And I'm thinking about him, worried about Adam.
I just wanted to share, some of you know that my older son, Justin, battled rectal cancer for almost all of 2025. It began in December of 2024, and then his fight ended in December of 2025. In the middle of December, he had his final surgery. He's clear of cancer, and he beat it. Thank you.
Good morning. I just wanted to say that Gloria Bertonis is with us on Zoom today. I haven't seen her sign in for a couple weeks. I've been worried about her, and I'm really, really happy that she's with us today. And thank you for everybody who's joined us on Zoom today.
Whether or not you shared today for your joys, we in this community join you in celebration. And for any sorrows or concerns, may you feel our sympathy and compassion. I believe now we have Avi coming back.
Blessed Spirit of my life, give me strength through stress and strife. Help me live with dignity. Let me know serenity. Fill me with a vision. Clear my mind of fear and confusion. When my thoughts flow restlessly, let peace find a home in me.
Please join me in a responsive reading. I think, do we all have them on our chair? That's up here as well. Spirit of life, help us to be present with all that is our life, both our deepest sorrows and our greatest joys. I believe this is the part. The black is what we're all supposed to say together, I believe. Yeah. I was a little. Oh, do it the other way? Okay, great. Okay. Help us to be present with all that is our life, both our deepest sorrows and our greatest joys, so that we can truly live, engaging fully in our own life and our community. Spirit of community. Help us know how linked we are, how each one of our cares touches us all. Help us to ask for support when we are in need and offer our support to others when we are able, so that we may rest in the solace of one another's love. Help us to love our neighbor as we love ourselves, so that we might fully embody love and resist hatred. Help us to stick up for what is right, even when we are tired or afraid. Help us to dream of the world as it should be and act to bring that world about. Help us to find hope each day. Help us through this day and each day. Help us to be present for all that is our life. For all this we pray. Amen and blessed be. From the Reverend Liz Weber. And now we'll have our closing song, hymn 34, Though I May Speak with Bravest Fire.
Please join me in singing hymn number 34, Though I May Speak with Bravest Fire. Though I may speak with bravest fire, and have the gift to all inspire, and have not love, my words are vain as sounding brass and hopeless gain. Though I may give all I possess, and striving slow my love profess, but not begin by love within, the prophet soon turns strangely thin. Come, Spirit, come, our hearts control. Our spirits long to be made whole. Let inward love guide every deed By this we worship and are freed.
Flame is extinguished, but we know that courage doesn't live in a chalice. It lives in what you choose to do next. Choose well. The world is waiting. Our service is concluded. For those of you on Zoom, thank you for joining us today. Sorry, very emotional today. We hope to see you again next week. In the meantime, thank you, Mark. Please join us in the cafeteria for coffee, fellowship, and conversation. There's panettone in there, which is one of my favorite holiday treats, and apple cider donuts, so enjoy.